Welcome to the YouTube. My name is Kel. I help build profitable personal brands. I made over 6 figures off my personal brand, and I've helped consult for my clients who made over 7 figures in a single year with his personal brand that he converted into his clothing brand. So this is what I do. Create content for a living, study content for a living. Let's do a deep dive on the personal brand masterclass and why you want to create attention and convert it to cash. Now, this isn't for everybody. If you're looking for another video to go viral, to trick the algorithm, to be an influencer, go hit somebody else's account. That's not what I do here. We're only focused on building loyal communities and converting that into cash. That's really it. So let's get into it. Here's the shift right now that's going on a macro level in 2026 and beyond. A lot of people, the customers, the masses, they are very fatigued with brands in general. How many lookbooks, how many different marketing angles can you do before you almost do everything? And there's so much competition in the marketplace for every single industry. How do you stand out? A lot of these agencies, social media agencies, are charging some of these bigger brands between like $10,000 per month and $1 million per month to do stuff. And a lot of the times they're delivering very lackluster results. The truth right now, more than ever, especially that short form has shown, is that people buy from people. That's the shift. Where brands were king 5 years ago, 10 years ago, especially 20, 30 years ago, the institutions, they haven't fallen, but they definitely don't hold the same grip on the market that they once did. People are buying from people, and that's why a 20-year-old with a cracked iPhone can be in their house in Nebraska, in Idaho, in Ohio, wherever they're at, can have more influence and more pull than an entire marketing team with $1 million budget. And we see this every day on TikTok. Kids selling out of clothing brand drops, selling different products, and they're rivaling brands that have taken on VC money. They're rivaling brands that have a staff of 50 people. It shouldn't make sense, but that's where we are in today's age. And it's very silly to turn your nose up at that because you're not willing to adapt. It's time to go all in and realize that, hey, you might not like where it's going, but the truth is people buy from people. So yes, you watching this video, you do have the opportunity to become somebody online. Even if you're a nobody online right now, you don't have any following, you might not even have an account, it can happen for you. You have to follow these steps, lock in. It's not going to be easy, but it is this simple. First things first, brand pillars. That segment I gave earlier, important key for sure. People are buying for people due to a lack of trust with brands, competition, everything I just said. But the first actual step into building your magnetic personal brand would be having 3 to 5 brand pillars that people can come to you and they know that you're going to serve that every single time. For me on my personal at McKellery, it would be being a clothing brand owner. It would be lifestyle aspirational content. It would be mindset and motivational stuff. And then I would also say health and fitness because I like working out. So nearly any piece of content you'll see me produce on my personal is going to be related to one of those 4 pillars, if not all 4 in a single video. Now, yes, could I be super concerned about what's the newest hack to go viral, chasing trends, showing my body and thirst trapping, AI brain rot content, doing pranks and doing stuff that's goofy, and would that grow my account follower-wise? Of course it would. Am I interested in it? Of course I'm not, because I realize the importance of sticking and staying true to my brand pillars and stuff that's actually going to make me stand out in this market. A lot of people who are doing thirst traps, we see a sexy body every day in social media. A lot of people doing funny stuff. You can find a comedian in a funny video every other post if you want to. Who's actually going to be able to stick around and be able to monetize their following? And a lot of people who chase these trends and these quick wins and the dopamine of going viral, they're not going to ever be able to monetize. So how do you come up with your brand pillars? Well, the good thing is all the clients that I work with are all business owners. They're all professionals. And the best thing to do is to just dive deep on who you are as a person, your lifestyle, what you care about, your profession, of course. Whatever you want to bring onto camera, I don't suggest that you should bring everything. I don't have my relationship on camera. There's a lot of things I don't bring on camera, and that's very strategic because I don't want to be known as a relationship guy. It's just not important for me to bring on camera and to have other people give their opinions on. So you need to be very strategic on the steps and the things that you want to take in terms of bringing it on camera and being able to stay consistent to that. So it can be as deep or as vague as you want it to be. There's some people who you don't know them at all. They're just very good at what they do, and they're just leaning into one or two things, and that's what they do. And the reason brand pillars are so important, and I don't subscribe to just being in one niche, is because niches get washed out. For example, I'm a clothing brand owner. I have a very good pulse on the game of fashion and like who's popping and all that, right? So a lot of people who were doing strictly fashion content back in 2021, 2022, most of them aren't here today. Their followings have completely died. Why? Because they only did one thing, and they're only known for putting on their outfit of the day. And there's only so many outfits you can put on a daily basis where people still care. And for people who have been posting the same type of content for 3 years, your audience is eventually going to get tired from it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. The last thing I love about pillars is that they also grow with you. And the whole point of pillars and a strong personal brand is showing a story. People love a story. People love seeing you go from point A to point B. So being able to document your life is the best way to set up your pillars, because then it's like, I don't have to create and think about all the things that I have to do. I don't have to think about my pillars. My pillars are just my normal life. I work out on a daily basis. I am a clothing brand owner. I do consulting stuff and, do stuff related to business. And then I also am very big on mindset and motivation. So these things all flow so naturally, and that's why it's super important before you post a single post or anything is to really dive deep on who you want to be online, and it should be something that's very easy to document. Number 2, qualified attention. What is the purpose of brand pillars, and what is the purpose of not chasing trends or not caring about going viral and being an influencer? It all comes down to qualified attention, and this is what most people get wrong. At the end of the day, we all know in business and in life, if you are for everybody, then you are for nobody. You need to draw a line in the sand about who you are, what you do, and also what you don't do and what you're not for and what you stand against. And the reason qualified is so much more important is because, once again, the main goal for us about building our brands is to be able to monetize. It's to drive more people into our stores. It's to drive more people to our service, our coaching. It's to drive more people to purchase our product. For example, my first mentee, Aston, the 20-year-old or 19-year-old at that time, college student, his clothing brand is completely taken off, but it all started from him posting consistently on TikTok and building his personal brand. That proved everything I needed to know. Do you know how many videos this guy had that got over 100,000 views? 4. 4 videos out of about 1,000 got over 100,000 views. And that's all the proof that I needed to see, that it was never about going viral, and the power is truly in being niche. Because let's break down the math. Now, all it takes is 1,000 people that are extremely locked in to completely change everything. 1,000 people buying a $150 product, 6-figure month, right there. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're like me and you like selling higher ticket stuff, let's say your consulting or your coaching is $5,000. You could have 8 people buy it. That's $40,000 with better margins than a product. So if you only need 8 highly qualified people to buy your thing, what is the purpose of going viral and getting all this attention from people who don't have the pockets or the capacity to even buy your service? It doesn't make sense. And that's why we're not chasing what the masses are chasing. And we're only chasing a specific market because we're only trying to talk to one specific person. Qualified is going to be unqualified every single time. Trust me when I say this, 1,000 qualified views is worth way more than 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 views of a video that went viral, but you didn't have an offer that could connect with the people that are seeing it. And most times when stuff goes viral and it reaches the masses, these are not people that are looking to open their wallets and spend money with you or care about what you're doing or your business or whatever. They're looking for a quick laugh and they're scrolling. That's not who we're targeting. Another reason why I know this is true is because ever since I started posting free game on TikTok about building your personal brand, you would not believe the amount of accounts that have over 100,000, 500,000 followers that are liking and saving my videos about being able to monetize and building a personal brand. Ask yourself, why would somebody with 1 million followers be essentially stalking my personal brand building account if they had all the answers? It's because there's a disconnect. And I know what the disconnect is by looking at their accounts for 10 seconds. Even the people who have a very strong community, they don't have the offer in place. Or, like I said, they blew up their account, got all these followers and views, but these aren't serious people and they're not aligned with what this person wants to do or what this person wants to sell. And me seeing that firsthand on a daily basis shows me that, hey, the only thing worse than not getting any followers or any views on your account is having all that stuff and all the dopamine and the attention and not being able to make a dime from that. And then you have somebody who has like 500 or 1,000 followers making more than you on a monthly basis. Like, that would have to be the worst feeling ever. That's why we want to be very strategic in how we're building our account from day one. Number 3, you cannot overlook the marketing funnel. I know, classic textbook. We all know about it. Funnel, top, big, bottom, small. We want to get people from the top to the bottom. Top is our wide casting net. This is the content that is still going to be related to your brand pillars, but the goal for this content isn't necessarily to make sales. Once again, and we're going to get into that a little bit later, push-pull theory. You can't always sell every single post, and that's where a lot of these business owners and professionals are struggling a lot with social media, because they're treating it like a cheap advertisement that's plastered on the side of a telephone pole. Buy my stuff, my window washing service, my coaching, my whatever. That's not how it works. You have to build up credibility, and it's an entire funnel. It starts at the top. This is our wide casting net. I always give the analogy. Let's say we're trying to catch salmon in a river. We're going to throw a 20-foot wide net in there. When we pull it up, it's going to be super heavy, and we're going to have so much stuff in there. Now, there are going to be some salmon in there, but there's also going to be a lot of other fish, debris, weeds, etc. That's expected because it's the top of the funnel. It's our largest, widest casting net, and we know that. Now, the real goal is getting that salmon or the people that we want to trickle down our system until they reach the bottom, and that's where they buy. Examples of good top of funnel content would be anything inspirational or aspirational, anything results based, anything with, some numbers, some money thrown around, anything that could be a story time that's somewhat funny or relatable. Like a story time is great, especially from a business owner or somebody who, is older and has a lot of experience. But are people going to buy from that video? I mean, probably not, but it's still important because we need to get the initial set of eyes on us, and then we're going to see who's really our ICP, our ideal customer, who's really qualified and who's just going to stay at the top. Because once again, if your marketing funnel and your system is set up correctly, then it's only a matter of time before somebody buys. Whether it's a week, whether it's a day, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, if they're the right person and you're continuously solving their pain point, day in, day out, it's only a matter of time before they want to do business with you. Now let's skip to the bottom of the funnel right quick. This is what most people know. This is where you're making your sale. This is your final pitch. This is the whole sales call, sales whatever, website is live, etc. So we all know that. But you notice I missed the middle. And this is where everybody gets stuff wrong, especially people who can't monetize. Middle of the funnel content is the stuff that's not going viral. It's not geared to go viral. And also, people get very discouraged here because their video might only be getting 1,000 views, a couple thousand views. Like I said, let's take my first mentee and client, Aston. 4 of his videos got over 100,000 views. So only 4 of them really had mass appeal. 4 out of 500, 4 out of 1,000. The majority of his videos, the medium view count for his videos was around 3,000 to 4,000 views. But once again, as long as they're qualified, it doesn't matter. This is the content that we want that's going to nurture people for us. This is where the real storytelling happens. This is the repetitive content that builds a story. This is the day-to-day work. This is the grunt work that most people want to overlook, and they want to keep chasing the views that come from the top of the funnel, or they just want to skip all of it and just start selling to people. But this is the nurturing phase. You have to treat it like a relationship. You have to treat it like you're getting to know somebody. You can't come off with the craziest, most straightforward line of your life when you first meet them, but you also can't beat around the bush and kind of just like pander to them all the time. You have to have this middle of funnel. You're actually getting to know them. What are the things you value? What are you actually looking for? It's the time spent. And when the time is spent, that's what allows someone to actually start liking you. It's not just the idea in their mind like, oh, I might like this person. That's top of funnel. Not like I'm in love with this person, I need to marry them. That's the bottom of the funnel. But where is the majority of your relationship built? the middle of the funnel. So this is what I talk about with my clients. If you're a business owner or professional, this is where your bread and butter is going to be made. These are your case studies, the stories that you have that are solving the problems of your ideal customer. This is where you're doing a breakdown and showing your expertise in your niche. This is where you give people a look inside your world and what does your day-to-day look like? Why should people trust and purchase your product or service? Remember that top of the funnel brings the people in, middle of funnel builds the trust, bottom of funnel is where people are going to open up their wallets and reward you for your credibility. Next up, we have push-pull. I mentioned this earlier, and this is super important for your content, but at the end of the day, this is very applicable to sales in general that all the business owners watching this is going to know. It's about building that relationship and that trust with that client or with that customer before you ask them to open up their wallets. It's very rude, once again, with the dating example, to go in extremely, extremely hard when you don't even know the person at all. Typically, that's not going to work out. Think about it like a bar setting. If you go out to the bar with your boys, with your friends, whatever, does a dude who's extremely thirsty for the women, he's extremely thirsty, he's talking to everybody, he's trying to force it, does that guy ever end up going home with the woman that he truly wants, or the most beautiful woman in the vicinity? Probably not. And why is that? Because there's something extremely repelling about desperation. And all the people who know sales knows that's a fact. Business is the same way. And somebody gave a great analogy for this as well, is that the best salesman can steal from you twice as much as a thief, but you'll thank him for the opportunity. And that really stuck with me because everybody hates a thief. They took something from you. It feels very disrespectful. It is very disrespectful. But a great salesman might take more money from you than the common thief would, but you thank him for the opportunity. Why? Because he's so good at buttering you up. He's so good at building that trust and credibility with you that you gladly hand him the money for something that you don't even need. And that puts everything in a sales perspective. That blew my mind when I first heard that, but it applies so much to content as well. It's for the fact that you've built up so much credibility and you've already helped solve their pain point so much that they're happy, they're glad, they're grateful to be working with you. That's when you know that your credibility is top tier. And that's why it's so important with the push-pull. It's very hard to establish that when you're constantly selling to people in a very brazen and desperate manner. Nobody wants to give that person money. Nobody wants to work with that person. It's a subtle dance, subtle art of tiptoeing the line between pushing and pulling, selling, providing value, selling, providing value. Think about Alex Hormozy with his latest book sale. What was that, last year, about 9 months ago? He had a new book, $100 million money models. He made speaking why it's called 100 million, this dude made $100 million selling a book in a weekend, which is unheard of. Like, that's disgusting numbers. But why? Because Alex Hormozy has logged in to every single social media known to man, everywhere he can find you, for the past 5 to 6 years with his marketing team, and has given you consistent content, consistent free game, and consistent oh, I'm a good guy, I'm looking out for you. And what did people do to reward him for that? They dropped an absurd amount of money on a bunch of books. 9 figures in books in a single weekend, because he spent the past 5 to 6 years pretty much going without asking for anything from his audience, and that's how he got rewarded. So are we going to make 100 million? Maybe, maybe not. But the point still remains. You have to give people value, and in exchange, they will give you money over the course of the long run, as long as your offer is dialed in, and as long as, of course, your content is good, clean, concise, and solving a specific person's pain point. Next up, we have volume. And every single content creator coach will tell you, post as much volume as you can. You need to get the reps up. You need to dominate the algorithm. More posts the better. 10 times a day, 20 times a day. I seen a dude say 30 times a day. I don't know who has time to do that. That's not really what I believe, not what I see being effective. Here's the thing, especially when you want to be known as being an authority in the space, seeing somebody is important. But if you are known for posting nonsense or posting lazy content or posting rushed content at the drop of a hat, whenever you have a singular good idea, you're just going to post it no matter what. You're training people to look past you. You're training people that, hey, this guy might have a good point once in a while, but it's never consistent. The quality isn't there. I don't really enjoy watching his videos. He has a good point once every week, but he's posted 50 times this week. To me, that's backwards. We want to build up authority and we want to build ourselves as a leader. And there's a certain, I hate to even use the word, but there's a certain aura that you do need to have, and the best sellers and the best brands have. And they're not available for everybody, and they're not constantly available where you can just absorb yourself in them and you're so used to them that you don't even really not respect them anymore, but you just don't really care because it's like, hey, this person's always available. The things that are always available in life, the things that are always free, typically aren't looked at as great things. Why do people respect luxury brands even though their quality is on par with a Zara most times? It's because of the name. It's because of the credibility that they've built or they've manufactured. And so I'm not saying like, yo, we're trying to be luxury brands, but my point is, when you're posting, it needs to be with intention. And I think people lose the plot when they're focused on posting a bunch of volume on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever the platform is, but there's no intention behind it. So my thing is scale back the volume, find a comfortable place. I always like to start at, if you have a lot of time on your hands, I will try to go for 2 to 3 times a day and leave it at that. And then if you need to scale back because the quality is suffering or you're running out of ideas, you need to find better ways to manufacture ideas, scale it back to once a day. Might take a little bit longer to grow, might take a little bit longer to see the data, but hey, at least people know that when you post, it means something. And that's why volume is good, but only when it's paired with intention. Yes, so quality is better than quantity, but at the end of the day, the more high quality stuff you can get, the better. I don't want to make this first video too long, and I just want to stick to the core elements. So I appreciate you guys watching this. Any other questions you have, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. I'm going to be ripping YouTube videos consistently from here on out. Everything I just broke down is a summary of what I do with my clients one-on-one. If you're interested in working one-on-one with me, go ahead and check out the link down below and you can apply for my personal consulting. This is very curated and specifically for business owners, professionals, people with skill sets that are looking to finally not be invisible and actually monetize their content. We build out a whole content plan for you and also help you structure your offer when the time is right so you can monetize. I also have some spare time this month, so I opened up a Calendly. So if you want a one-time call just to help you get through some blocks with the personal branding side and the content, anybody can feel free to go ahead and book one down in the Calendly link. So appreciate you guys. More videos soon. Let's run it up.